Hi everybody. We are continuing with the book of Daniel, our Bible study. So we are in chapter 6 and it's about Daniel in the den of lions. So what happened previously, as we know from the previous chapter, King Belshazzar, which was the son of Nebuchadnezzar, died. And as he was saying with a written hand on the wall, those words were saying that the kingdom will be divided in two, Medes and Persians. And so Darius was appointed as king over the Medes, and Cyrus was appointed for the Persians. So let's start reading. Let's dive into it. It pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule through the kingdom. It's a specification 120. Okay. I saw how many, there are like so many, to rule through the kingdom with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. So Daniel didn't want to get that position, but sometimes God wants you in that place. It might be a higher position. You may not want that much responsibility. You know what is coming is a new, more like in a work, like in your workplace, new management. You don't want to be placed on a higher position from the beginning. Nobody knows who you are. People are digging to either get your position, get you down, sabotage you, do anything in their power, to move your way. But God wanted him to be the third in the kingdom, which were the 3 administrators. So that as he was given the purple clothing as a royal, and then the third in the kingdom, when Darius and Cyrus, those kings, they came, Daniel was in that position. They kept him. And so what it says next, the satraps were made accountable to them so that the king might not suffer loss. Okay. So they're looking like what is going on in the kingdom, like 120 people, guys, that's a lot. Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators. There were 3 of them, so he was the third one, but he was distinguished among the other 2. And the satraps, which the one that keep looking like, make sure that everything is good, is the new administration, new kingdom, like make sure everybody's okay. Doesn't sabotage him, doesn't kill him. But he was stood up like among everybody else. Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Wow. Darius liked him so much when he talked to him and saw who he was. He liked him because he was exceptional, right? He had exceptional qualities, like nobody probably never seen one. So we want to put him over the whole kingdom. Oh boy. Okay. And when usually when that's planified and the dark kingdom, it comes in place to sabotage. It's what it is. It's jealousy, money, jealousy, corruption, all kinds of things that come to make sure that he doesn't get that position. And exactly what happened in your workplace. If you're supposed to be placed in a higher position, all this comes to sabotage you, to take you down, that you will not be seen well in the eyes of your manager or your supervisor or whoever it is, to be, down somewhere, even though you're on the top of everything else. Wow. All right. Verse 4. These, the administrators and the satrap, tried to find ground for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so. Why? Because he was not corrupted. He didn't go for anything else. He had always what God instructed him to do. He did an excellent job. He was faithful to everything, faithful to his God, of course, to God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, faithful in any ways, They couldn't find nothing wrong in whenever he was doing. He was doing, I say, excellent job. They could find no corruption in him. I think that there were lots of corruptions there. Like, okay, I give you money if you do this and this and this. And, or if you say that and that. And people would go for it. But it was no corruption in him. Because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. 5. Finally, this man said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. Wow. Imagine how deep they search into his life. It's like a king, he doesn't have a wife, kids, because sometimes they can bribe the kids, the wife, especially if he's Babylonian, from Babylon. They have other gods. They can do lots of other things. But he was unique. They couldn't find nothing in his work, nothing at all. No matter what they tried to find, they couldn't find anything. He was clean in all the ways. And they thought, okay, so he doesn't serve no gods like woods and all that. He is they distinguish that. But if we find something within his God, what he does, we can get him. Wow. But guess what? The enemy, they dig in their own grave right here. You can't go against God's people and not be punished. You cannot go against God's people and not be punished. I'm telling you. God loves everybody, but this, especially Daniel, and not just that, every single person that belongs to God, you can't go against them. You lose. And that we're supposed to be happy about that because we serve a big, big God that cares about us. Cares even one hair is moved and the enemy is touching that hair. God cares. It comes after the enemy. It will not let you down, promise. So they are digging their own grave right here because it says unless it's something about with the law of his God. Wow. And Daniel is not afraid. There are so many, 120 plus 2, so be 122 people looking into his life, and he's open. Verse 6. So these administrators and satraps went as a group to the king and said, making their sleep forever. The real administrator, prefect, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except to you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Now, this was a trap placed for Daniel. King Darius had no idea what was this all about. King Darius didn't know Daniel as well as previous, like King Nebuchadnezzar. Neither his son didn't know. This one just came into his position. He knew who he was in general, and then he was doing a good job, but didn't know that he was serving a big God, the mighty God, I would say. Mighty, mighty God. And So he didn't know about that he was distinguished because of that. So, verse 8, now your majesty issued a decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered in accordance with the law of Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. So King Darius put a decree in writing. Wow. These people, they were to see whoever does anything wrong and bring it to the justice and search into the palace and whenever, and tells the king, okay, you got to write this decree because this is what happened and we try to prevent this and this and this. So, and they thought, okay, one point is like, okay, let's put Daniel, put a trap and Daniel be out of the sight and we can take over. So, because Daniel, whenever he did, he stood up much higher. And these corrupt people could not stand how clean and how the things went under Daniel. And then not just that, he was in charge over all these as well. So corruption, he had to eliminate the corruption and all that. So, but these are coming against him. Not just that, they didn't know. They come against God. Wow. You can't go against God. You're a dead man. Well, anyway, let's keep going. Verse 10. Now, when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows open. I underlined it because I love it so much. Where the windows opened towards Jerusalem. He was praying with the windows open. It's like the God of Israel will hear his prayer. Wow. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before for so many years. And as I'm saying, like he prayed for King Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, and now start praying for Darius and Cyrus. So he's praying for these kings, and he has nothing against them. He wants them to succeed, And whoever is there, we should do the same thing. And pray for our adversary. Pray for the one that coming against us. It's how it makes your heart tender and put your heart in forgiveness to forgive others. So nothing changed. Is what I try to say here. Nothing changed. 3 times a day. If you think like, oh yeah, it's Sunday, let's go to the house of the Lord. Let's worship and pray once a week. How many times Daniel pray? 3 times a day. Every day. That's why he got from God wisdom, intelligence, and excellency because of that. Verse 11. Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days, anyone who prays to any god or human being except you, your majesty, would be thrown into the lion's den? The king answered, the decree stands in accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. Wow. They give those decree, and then when they find out why they give that decree and what was behind it, they can't do nothing about it. 13. Then they say to the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day. So it's like Daniel doesn't care about you, doesn't praise you, doesn't, he doesn't care. He prays to his own God, but not to you. And he actually went against the decree you gave, in other words saying, okay. Let's keep going. Verse 14, when the king heard this, look at this. He was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. Wow. Darius liked him so much, and because pretty much this person, all that corruption and everything that was going wrong, maybe he disclosed those. We don't know. The Bible doesn't say, but it's what I think. And he liked Daniel a lot. He tried to rescue Daniel, to do anything in his power, but when the law was given, is a law, it cannot be changed. And again, so these people that they work to go against Daniel, they came back to the king to remind him. Verse 15, then the men went as a group to King Darius and said to him, remember, your majesty, that according to the law of the Medes and Persians, no decree or edict that the king's issues can be changed. But he knew it, but he tried to do something else to get Daniel out of this, but he couldn't. Because it's not by the hand of man, has to be by hand of God. Wow. 16, so the king gave the orders, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, because he believed in him, I can see that, may your God, whom you serve continually rescue you. That was his last words. 17, a stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. Remember that the big stone was placed where Jesus died? Yeah. And again, and the king sealed with his own signet ring. He has a signet that has to seal like letters and all that. That makes sure that is official. Nobody can break that unless they want to die. It might just the same thing happened with Jesus when they rolled that stone, but it was that he already died. So they put, instead of that, they put people to stay there, like army soldiers, to stay outside. But here they put a seal that nobody can break it. If they break it, they go against the king of Medes and king of Persia. But it was king of Medes, this one. And the king sealed, with his own signet and with the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed. So their nobles came quick with the rings and all that, and they sealed it as well. It's like, oh yeah, he's dead. All right, he's dead. Good, we did a good job. We got rid of the one that stays against our corruption in our life and our everything what we do there, so we can do whenever we want now. Verse 18, then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep. He's like, how could I have done something like that against this man? It's not right. What I have to do with his God? His God is, why did I do this? Why did I fall into this? So he couldn't sleep. He was bothered by what he did and couldn't change nothing. At the first light of dawn, in verse 19, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. Verse 20, when he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God whom you serve continually been able to rescue you from the lions? Verse 21, Daniel answered, may the king live forever. We see that he value as well the kingdom of this earth. We have to not, who are you talking to me? What do you care? You threw me in the lion den, he never had an attitude. We have to learn from him. He came from a noble family, like from the royal family, from a noble family in Jerusalem. He's acting like one, and plus the Spirit of the Lord is with him. Everybody can recognize that. And he's not putting the king down. He knew exactly what happened behind the scenes. And not just that, he is telling him, like, may the king live forever. It's like respecting the king. So we have to respect the authorities on this earth, guys. We do. No matter who they are and what have done, you know. It's something is behind that. And will turn good to you. But as he says now, he's acknowledged who God is. Verse 22, my God sent his angel and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty. Wow. So you want to know that he didn't do nothing against the king, that he should deserve that. He did nothing, wrong. And he was saved because of that. So he's talking with, he's very wise. Just the way he talks. First, acknowledge who the king is. And that he is value him as a king. And then tells about God, how God saved him. And then he says, I did nothing wrong to you, your majesty. Verse 23, the king was overjoyed and gave orders to leave Daniel's and out of them. Wow. He was so happy because he liked him. If you would like the man of God, you know, and you know that God saved that person, he was overjoyed, overjoiced. When Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him because he had trusted on his God. Trusting in God, it takes you far. You will not let no lion to touch you, no matter where you've been in the furnace or in the lion's den. God will not allow nothing to happen. He had to prove to Darius and the other king Cyrus that who God actually is, that saved him. 24, the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den along with their wives and children, and before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. I think they were super hungry. And imagine that when the angels of the Lord is shutting their mouth, that Daniel will not be touched. Now they were super hungry. They smell the person but can't touch it. And now when gets fed, I say, they even before reach the floor, they from the top, as soon as they got down, they crushed the bones. Wow. Then King Darius, verse 25, wrote to all the nations and peoples of every language in all the earth. So he was easy. Darius was easy to come to God, very, very fast to acknowledge who God is, much faster than the king Nebuchadnezzar. We can see that just one event, and it didn't involve him, it involved Daniel, but of course he gave the decree without knowing that it's going to hurt Daniel. And he turned around very, very fast. When Nebuchadnezzar, it had to be 3 times. The 3rd time he turned around. But look what he says, may you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of the kingdom people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and serves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lion. And so Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So Darius is a Medes, as it was divided, and Cyrus was the Persian. Wow. Let's see what we take back from this lesson. So, to serve God, the mighty God, no matter what, it helps the enemy, you need put down below. Because we keep serving no matter what, God will reveal who He is, and He will defeat your enemy on your behalf. Daniel didn't have to get no decree or nothing like that. Automatically, as soon as he was rescued from the mouth of the lions, he was pulled out, and there was no wound, nothing on his skin. They checked, was nothing. Then the revenges of the Lord got Daniel's enemies, and whenever they wanted for Daniel, exactly what happened to him. Don't you think that we have situations when the enemy is digging to either, do something wrong to us, they end up fell from the same thing. Whenever they try to do to you, they end up having it. I'm not sure I'm speaking to anybody right now. So the enemy has no power over you, because why? Because you trust in God totally. And I say another lesson I will take from this is like praying 3 times a day. And no matter what, who hears it or what, he didn't care. He has the windows open towards Jerusalem, that God of Jerusalem will hear him. And God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will hear him. He wouldn't care who say what. He did the same thing. He didn't back out. He didn't close the window. He didn't pray in secret. And God rewarded him. Wow. Even in the trials, do not be afraid. God has you in His hands. Wow. I hope you enjoyed this teaching as much as I did. And with this concludes our lesson for today. Until next time, I say goodbye. Goodbye now.